Hi, good afternoon. This is Oscar. We're going to present part of the Integrative project which is chapter 3. We're talking about international business operations. We're group 3D. The subject is meteorology. The product is queso asadero from the company Wallander. The teacher that this is being explained to is the engineer Rafael Alejandro Moreno Silerio. The team members of the presentation are Miroslava Cardosa, Melanie Martinez, Nubia Maturano, Cynthia Guzman, Valeria Zúñiga, and Oscar Villegas. Today is December 3rd, 2020.
I'm going to start talking a little bit about the company. The company which what we decided to work is Wallander. Wallander was founded in Durango by Ricardo Wallander and nowadays has 4 branches in the city. Wallander is a Mexican company that produces and markets handmade regional sweets and milk products such as queso cottage, cottage cheese, sorry, asadero cheese, jocoque, cajera, and milk, also offered to the public an extensive variety of products like sausages, bread, and liquors. Next slide, please. Here we have the first part of the chapter 3, that is name and product image. Well, the name of the product is Queso Asadero Wallander, but in English is Asadero Wallander cheese, or just like Asadero cheese, in the presentation of 400 grams. And here in the image, we can appreciate the final result of the product, that is the cheese sale and label. And the label has the traditional colors of the Wallander's products, in the top of the label, we have the general information like the name of the number of the company and the logo and name of the company as well. And in the middle part, we can appreciate as a way of marketing the information that says that the cheese is produced with 100% natural milk, and also we have the nutritive information that give us the percentage or the quantity of sodium, sugar, fats, and calories. And finally, in the bottom of the label, we have the name of the cheese, that is Asadero, and the net count, that is 400 grams. Next slide, please.
Well, here we have the second point of the chapter 3, that is the meteorological analysis. Next slide, please. The common name of this cheese is Asadero cheese, and its commercial name is Queso Asadero Wallander. And this cheese is a semi-skimmed cheese for melting, originally from Mexico, with origin vegetal. And it's important to know that the product must be under a temperature from 1 degree to 4 degrees, and it's used for human consumption. This cheese is obtained from a mixture of fresh milk and sour milk over low heat. After letting it stand, it is heated again and slowly roasted with a spoon. Then it's removed from the heat and drained and squeezed with a gauze to remove the excess of serum. Then we have to add salt, and it's put in on the heat one last time without stop moving until it runs out of serum. Finally, it's emptied and allowed to cool. Next slide, please.
Okay, within the analyses, we're going to explain the characteristics of the product. Since it's actually a food product, we have concepts such as saturated fats, other fats, sodium, energy, etc. Within those concepts, we have calories, and the product has a total caloric calorie of 86, which is within the percent of the recommended daily nutrients. And within those concepts, we have the compositions or the ingredients. The raw ingredients are semi-skim cow's milk, which is the main source of milk for the product. lactic cultures, which are the bacteria that that go within the process of making the product. Rennet and rennet is chymosin. It's actually quite difficult to describe, but it's part of the raw materials that are used to make the product. Calcium chloride and iodized salt. Within those ingredients, we are talking about a nutrition information serving size of 30 grams. And next slide, please. We have the presentation of the product. It's a vacuum packed plastic line. The cheese is 14 centimeters in diameter and 2.5 centimeters in height. As you can see, the classic presentation actually resembles, or it looks very similar to the cheese sticks that are actually quite famous and quite they have a high demand in clients. So it's a similar presentation for the Wallander cheese. Next slide, please.
Now I am going to talk about the tariff classification of the product. First of all, the section in which it is classified is the section 1, in which we can find live animals and animal products. The chapter is 04, in which we can find dairy products, bird eggs, or whichever type of product that comes from animal origin. Well, this chapter has a legal note that establishes that a product, in order to be classified in this chapter, must have the following characteristics. The first one is that the milk fat content must be of 5% or more, and the product that we are talking about has a milk fat content of 20%. The product also must have a dry extract content greater than or equal to 70%, but less than or equal to 85%. And our product, according to the information that the company gave us, has approximately 78% of this content. Finally, the last characteristic is that it should be molded or likely to be. And our product have this characteristic because after its elaboration process, it can be molded to get whichever form we would like to give it. Next slide, please. Okay, the heading in which it is classified is the 0406, in which we can find cheese and curd. And this heading has a legal note that says that here we can find all kinds of cheeses. And also it provides the definition of a fresh cheese, which is the cheese that we are exporting. A fresh cheese is a cheese that has not matured but can be consumed shortly after its elaboration. And well, the subheading is 040610, and the name of this subheading is fresh cheese, including whey cheese and curd. And the tariff classification, the tariff fraction, which is 04061001, has the same name as the subheading. And well, the applicable tariff according to the tariff classification is to import 45%, to export it is exempt, and the IVA is 16%. Next slide, please.
Well, now we have the applicable rules, sorry. The first one is the general rule, number 1, that it says that the classification it's legally determined by the text of the headings and the section or the chapter notes. This is because the titles of the sections, chapters, or subchapters have only an indicated value.
Okay, and the next rule is rule number 6, general rule number 6. This rule has a special term, which is mutatis mutandis, which explains the usage of the rules to the tariff fraction that is applied to the Asadero cheese. It's pretty straightforward, but the term might come into play in a bit of a confusing way, but that's basically it. The usage of the rules that the tariff fraction uses is the mutatis mutandi. And then in the complementary rules, we have rule number 2. This rule explains the structure of the tariff classification according to the digits of it, which is pretty straightforward. And this rule actually plays within many other tariff classification structures.
Then we have the complementary rule number 3, and it says that the Secretaría de Economía with the Secretaría de Hacienda y Crédito Público will realize any change or any legal note of the TIGIE in the Diario Oficial de la Federación in order to be correctly applied. Next slide, please.
To finish with this chapter, we have the SWOT analysis. The one is divided in 4, the strengths and weaknesses of the product, and opportunities and threats that can be found in external factors. Next slide, please. The strengths. In this section, we have strengths like it is a really fast process, the one that is used to make this cheese. And the ingredients used to make this cheese go through a selective process in order to elaborate the best quality product. But 3 of the most important strengths are that this cheese has a distinctive flavor produced by the semi-skim milk used in its process. The semi-skim milk is the one that has dilated the half of the normal fats. The number 2 is that when the cheese is heated, its consistency becomes flexible and it making easier to give the correct or the desired form. And number 3, this product has no industrialized alterations such as adding of conservatives or any other chemical substances. And it's making the product possible to be considered or characterized as a natural product. Next slide, please. Okay, the weaknesses. Now talking about the weaknesses. 3 of the most important weaknesses that we consider are that it's sensitive to temperature changes and it provokes physical changes in its structure and its flavor. And number 2, in this number we have 2 types of curdlet, that is acid curdlet and enzymatic curdlet, but also exists a mix of those 2, that is enzymatic acid curdlet. And in this type of curdlet is where our cheese is. And in case of, for example, the curdlet is not in this way, enzymatic acid, its taste changes completely and it could be becoming to another cheese that is not asadero. And number 3, the cheese produces water when it's left room temperature, making it unattractive for the consumer and losing properties. But in this section also we can find weaknesses like despite the usage of large quantities of raw materials, little final product is obtained. And for example, if we compare this cheese with another cheese, Asadero cheese shelf life is short. Next slide, please.
Okay, now we have the opportunities. The first one is that we can find suppliers who offer raw materials in order to help us to create products with fewer calories. This is because a lot of people is looking for products that are healthier for them. The second one, chefs are looking for new products that can be used in different meals. Chefs are looking for products that are new, that are refresher, that are different from what they are used to work with. So our cheese can be a really good product. The next one, as we know, the vegetarian society is a really big market and they are actually looking for products to make them the main source of protein. And the cheese is the first one in this list. And of course, not only for vegetarian people, but for every other single person that wants give something like delicious or healthy or natural or even like foreign product, we can offer the product. And the final one is the tariff preferences due to the NAFTA. As we know, this agreement that is made with the United States, Mexico, and Canada give us the opportunity to export the product in an easier and in a cheaper way. And finally, we have the threats. The first one is that, as we know, in America, there are already really big companies that offer products that are really similar, or the Asadero cheese, in fact, as our biggest competence can be Glambia Nutritionals. And then we have border closures due to sanitary emergency. As we know, due to COVID, the customs have made the rules stricter, and it can be harder for us to export. And the final one, disease such as bacteria, brucellas, Listeria, and salmonellas in the cow's milks. All these bacteria can be presented in the milk that we use to produce our product. And of course, it can be really, really bad for our consumers' health. And this will be all.